Will. But speaking of Ladbrokes section this week, mate.
Yes.
We'll be talking about 3-year-olds and how they've performed in the Cox Plate in the past, because you've got two at the moment. One is very hot in the market. My guy, Animo, the Mo, and Captivant, who I think is a pretty juicy price considering its performance in the Guineas. So we see 3-year-olds all the time carrying only 49.5 kegs in the Cox Plate, and they tend to run pretty well, history says. And we've had some that have had cracking runs in the Cox Plate and then gone on to do bigger and better things. So we're going to be talking about some of them, and maybe it'll get to give you a bit of an idea, drifters, as to whether you should jump on one this weekend. But do you want to kick us off, mate?
So basically, in a nutshell, a recent history of 3-year-olds in the Cox Plate.
Essentially, yeah. That's the topic this week.
I'll kick it off. Well, you know, if we are doing a recent history, I think it makes sense to start with last year.
Yeah.
Grand Slam.
Yeah. Interesting pick in the Cox Plate.
Now, this is where the Moonee Valley Racing Club have their own discretion with picking the field. We saw it during the week. KI Nantique, a Group 1 Japanese Group 1 winner, ran fourth in the Epsom. In my opinion, probably deserved a run.
Oh, look, you know, I'm not an expert, but I'll tell you what, if I was on that panel, I'd probably vote yes. Yeah, included, yeah.
I love Japanese horses, yes.
Yeah.
I love them. But I think it just would have added another element. And I think
100%.
that's why they love putting 3-year-olds in the race. And that's what they did last year with Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So if you listen to our podcast from last year, it'll basically be this like for like.
Yeah.
Except the very good people at Ladbrokes have jumped on.
Yes.
But Grand Slam, we were very critical of this run.
We were.
And it turned out rightfully so.
Yeah.
Because he finished a distant last.
Stablemate of the winner, though,
Yes.
interestingly enough.
Yes, he was. So he ran third in the lead up in the Caulfield Guineas, which... so you think as a reference point, which you'll probably go over later if you are, he finished fifth in the lead up. So it's like you compare it to that history, like, okay, it kind of makes sense. You know, you can justify it. But what I couldn't cop was this runner getting a start over Buckhurst.
Yeah.
He was the only emergency in the race, and he did get a start because Magic Wand was lame and then later retired. I couldn't understand that because Buckhurst was beating up on Sir Dragonet back in Europe.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've been over that so many times, a year ago even.
Yeah.
But after that race, Grand Slam went on to race 5 times. He's still active from what I can see, but he hasn't run for a while. And he's won once at, ironically, the Cox Plate distance at the Valley.
Yes.
Against his own age.
Mm.
And he beat up on him that day, and I believe it was a leader bias.
Right, okay.
So
yeah.
yeah. Look, I like that the race club have their discretion because you wouldn't have brilliant stories. Like I'm sure you might mention Seamus Award.
Yes. Speaking of Seamus Award.
Let's get into him.
So Seamus Award was a maiden before the 2013 Cox Plate.
Unbelievable.
And he won it.
What a guy.
Lightly weighted, led, and was just too strong with the 49.5 kegs on his back. So he only had 14 starts in his career, Seamus Award, and he only won twice.
Yeah.
Cox Plate, one, and Australian Guineas in the autumn afterwards, the next. So 2 Group 1s, everything else.
Trained by Danny O'Brien, I believe.
I believe so. And guess who Seamus Award went on to sire?
Is it Animo? No.
The Big Eye.
Oh, that's right.
Incentivize's
Yeah.
father is Seamus Award. So it's funny how things work because there was an uproar when Seamus Award, a maiden, got picked to run in the Cox Plate. Imagine if the Moonee Valley Racing Club was like, you know what? Let's not pick him in this. He never wins the Cox Plate. Does he go on to sire anything? And if he does he sire Incentivize, who could go on to be, by the looks, a Hall of Fame racehorse in Australia? Early days, very early days. But he's already won 3 Group 1s. It's funny.
It's a great point you made.
So Seamus Award. So a little bit of information there for you drifters. 2013 Cox Plate winner to tick off the maiden, and now has fathered Incentivize.
Unbelievable. 2 years ago, my guy, Castelvecchio. This has to be my favourite ever 2-year-old when he was a 2-year-old. Didn't catch him as a 3-year-old. He was very enigmatic.
Hit and miss. He had his nuts.
He did.
Can't blame him.
No. You know, at the end, he well and truly had his mind on other stuff.
Yeah.
But this has to be one of Craig Williams' best ever losing rides.
Oh, it was unreal.
It was brilliant because he didn't show any toe ever in his 2-year-old or prior 3-year-old season. But he skipped away 400 metres to go, raced on pace, and Willow just put him out there. And he's like, you know what? I'm a featherweight here.
Just going to go for it.
The Japanese horse has to be bloody good to get past me. Turns out she was. She was very, very good, Lee Grashure. But Castelvecchio, I remember thinking immediately after the Rosehill Guineas when he won, I'm like, how did this horse go around at $9? Makes absolutely no sense.
It's a stupid price.
He was runner-up against his own age. He was runner-up in a Cox Plate against the older horses, against his own age, at 2,000 metres. What did we all miss?
I don't know. He's a good horse, Castelvecchio.
He was a brilliant horse. So, yeah.
But the note to take out of that is racing patterns that you might have seen prior from 3-year-olds might not necessarily be the case in the Cox Plate because they are the featherweights.
100%. And it was funny because James Cummings has alluded to today on Thursday that, you know, they want to race Anamoe to his natural pattern. Do they? Or do they not? Or is that just smoke and mirrors?
Mind games. Mind games. Yeah. Good shout, mate. Look, you mentioned already, So You Think, has to be on this list. So he finished 5th in the Caulfield Guineas prior to the Cox Plate, but he'd won 2 races prior, and he was racing in a lot of black type stuff. So just his 5th start.
Unbelievable.
In the Cox Plate. 2009, wins it. Thanks for coming. Okay, cool. Comes back the next year as a 4-year-old, 2010, wins it. So he's done it lightly weighted. Good on him. Comes back carrying, an extra 8 kegs on his back. I think it's 57 and a half 4-year-olds.
Yep.
Wins it. And then goes on to the Melbourne Cup. First time he's raced further than 2,000 metres. Runs 3rd.
Yeah. Last ever run in Australia.
Yeah.
In the Melbourne Cup.
That's a great horse, So You Think.
And he was unbelievable. One of my favourites back in the day when I was just having, you know,
Little $5 bet.
Dad gave me a $2 each way bet on the Melbourne Cup each year. But I did have some luck in the Cup.
You did for a long time.
Yeah. Shout out to Viewed, my guy. Bought all the whiz fizzes in the world.
Let's go.
But
and from then you were hooked.
But yeah, he was brilliant. I think he ended up being a 10-time Group 1 winner.
Yeah, 10 times I think. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So, and you know, who's his most successful progeny?
Sosibon, obviously.
1.8 million is one.
Yeah.
Just a money spinner, that boy.
Good looking horse too.
Yeah, well, So You Think. I think he's the
you
know how
absolute stud.
You know how you look at like old school photos, like black and white, and it's just like of your granddad or something. And you're like, oh, he was a good looking rooster.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
just
like that. Yeah.
And they just look strong. Back in the day, that'd be him.
That would be him. And going back to that, actually, Seamus Award, you know, he won the Cox Plate as a 3-year-old in 2013. He's already got another champion.
Yeah.
So he was born in 2010. We're 17 years older than him. Seamus Award, and he's already kicking goals. He'll be a grandfather soon.
What a guy. You'd hope so.
Yeah.
The last one on this list, well, you know, she did race against the mighty mare, but I don't think anyone knew what we were in for because Winx went around at $4.40 that day in her first Cox Plate.
Silly price.
And I heard during the week on RSN, Hugh Bowman was weighing up the ride for her and another horse.
No way.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, Hugh has his criticisms, right?
Yeah.
He gave, like, and he didn't have to do much on it, but you still had to get the job done.
Yeah, and the pressure of a nation,
100%.
it certainly adds an extra few kegs on your back when you're riding a
Like 33 wins in a row. That's a long time.
25 Group 1s.
Yeah.
25 Group 1s, mate.
Unbelievable.
Oh, gee whiz.
Anyway, we're not talking about Winks. We're talking about Yankee Rose,
Sorry, Winks.
who ran third behind her by about 8 lengths. But so many other horses were disgraced in that race. Yankee Rose wasn't. I think she started about the $13 quote. And she won. I think she won the Flight Stakes in the lead up, and she actually won against the boys in one. I can't remember. It was about a month. It's a few weeks before it. We just had a Spring Champion. That's what she won.
Okay.
She won the Spring Champion as well. So against the boys, I think Montefilia is the only mare to do it since, or filly to do it since. So she was a really classy horse, but she only raced at the track 2 more times.
Oh, right.
One of those times, she started $1.90 favourite in the VRC Oaks, and that's the famous footage of Brennan Abdullah on the Squetty Spirit just going out 150 to 1. He's taken off with about 1,000 to go, and he's like 20 lengths in front of everyone, and his horse is crawling to the line, but everyone else just couldn't keep up with him. Poor old Yankee Rose finished, she lost by 20 lengths. The Squetty Spirit in the Oaks wins by 20 lengths, 150 to 1, and Brendan Abdullah does the old bow in the irons.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, but Yankee Rose, she's at stud now, so
Yeah, right. Okay.
love to see it.
So, yeah, I guess all in all, drifters, 3-year-olds can run super well in the Cox Plate, and some have gone on to do huge things. So, look, if Captivant or Animo ends up being another So You Think, gee whiz, we've got a superstar on our hands. But
Wouldn't that be nice?
wouldn't that be nice? But anyway, thanks to Ladbrokes.
Thanks, guys.
I know it's a big weekend for you guys. Hopefully everything goes well.
Wish you nothing but the best. Okay.